You're scrolling right now, aren't you? Maybe lying in bed, maybe avoiding something important. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this voice whispering about all the things you could be doing. Here's the thing, you're not alone. And what if I told you that being ambitious and lazy isn't your weakness? What if it's actually your secret weapon? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand why people like you often outperform the hardest workers in the room. Let's be honest about who you are. You've got dreams, big ones. You see yourself successful, accomplished, living that life you've imagined 1,000 times. You know you're capable of more. You know you're smart enough. But here's where it gets weird. You also hit snooze 4 times every morning. You've been about to start that project for 3 weeks. You spend 2 hours researching the perfect productivity system instead of just doing the work. Sound familiar? Your friends who grind 12 hours a day call you lazy. Your family asks when you're going to get serious. And maybe sometimes, late at night, you wonder if they're right. Maybe you are just wasting your potential. But what if everyone, including you, has been looking at this completely wrong? Here's what nobody tells you about ambitious, lazy people. You don't avoid work because you're weak. You avoid unnecessary work because you're efficient. Think about it. When you finally do get around to that assignment, that project, that goal, you knock it out in a fraction of the time everyone else needed. Because you've been subconsciously strategizing. Your brain has been working on it while you procrastinated. There's actually research behind this. Dr. Adam Grant from Wharton studied procrastinators and found something fascinating. Moderate procrastinators were 16% more creative than people who started immediately because their brains kept processing the problem in the background. While everyone else was grinding away with their first idea, you were waiting for the best idea. You're not lazy. You're strategically patient. You don't want to work hard. You want to work smart. And that's not a character flaw. It's an evolutionary advantage. Let me break down the 3 superpowers you have that hard workers don't. First, the efficiency obsession. You hate wasting energy, so you find shortcuts. Not cheating, optimization. While someone else is doing something the traditional way for 10 hours, you're Googling fastest way to and finding a 2-hour solution. Think about it. Who invented the wheel? Probably someone too lazy to carry heavy stuff. Who invented online shopping? Someone too lazy to go to the store. Who invented the remote control? Someone too lazy to get up and change the channel. Lazy people have literally driven most of human innovation. Second, strategic energy management. Here's what ambitious, lazy people understand that grinders don't. Not all work is equal. You instinctively know which 20% of tasks will give you 80% of results. While everyone else is busy checking off their to-do list like it's a competition, you're focusing only on what actually moves the needle. You don't have energy for busy work. You only have energy for important work. And that focus, that's why you often outperform people who work harder than you. Pressure creates diamonds. You know that feeling when the deadline is tomorrow and suddenly you become superhuman? When you pump out in 6 hours what should have taken 3 weeks. That's not panic. That's your optimal performance zone. Ambitious, lazy people work best under pressure because that's when all the distractions fall away. There's no time for perfectionism, no time for overthinking, just pure, focused execution. Tim Urban, who runs a blog Wait, But Why, actually built an entire career around procrastination. His TED Talk on the topic has over 70 million views because he tapped into something universal and turned his weakness into his brand. Now, before you use this as an excuse to do nothing, let me be clear. There's a difference between being strategically lazy and just giving up. You can't be ambitious but lazy forever without actually doing something. At some point, you have to deliver. At some point, the ideas in your head need to become real things in the world. The trap is this. You get so good at conserving energy, at waiting for the perfect moment, that you never actually start. You become the person with 1,000,000 brilliant ideas and 0 execution. And here's the brutal truth. Nobody remembers a person who could have been great. They only remember the people who actually did something. So yes, be lazy about the small stuff. Be lazy about busy work. Be lazy about things that don't matter. But when it comes to the things that actually align with your ambitions, you need to find a way to trick yourself into action. So, how do you actually make this work? How do you turn ambitious but lazy into ambitious and successful? First, admit what you actually want. Not what sounds impressive. Not what your parents want. What do you actually care about enough to do even when you don't feel like it? That's your North Star. Second, design for your laziness. Make the right thing easier than the wrong thing. Want to work out? Sleep in your gym clothes. Want to write? Put your phone in another room. Want to study? Delete social media apps during exam week. You won't beat your laziness. So design your environment so that lazy equals productive. Use deadline pressure strategically. Don't wait for external deadlines. Create them. Public commitments. Accountability partners. Money on the line. Whatever it takes to manufacture that pressure that makes you perform. Fourth, work in sprints, not marathons. You're never going to be the person who grinds 12 hours a day. Stop trying. Instead, give yourself 2-hour focused sprints with guilt-free rest in between. You'll accomplish more in 2 focused hours than most people do in 8 distracted ones. Fifth, celebrate the wins. Every time you overcome your laziness, even for a moment, acknowledge it. Your brain needs to associate action with reward, not just with exhausting effort. Look, you're watching this video right now instead of doing something else. And that's okay. Maybe you needed to hear this. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're just playing a different game than everyone else. You have something powerful inside you. Ambition mixed with a deep hatred of wasted effort. That combination, when channeled correctly, is unstoppable. So stop apologizing for being who you are. The question isn't how do I stop being lazy? The question is how do I make my laziness work for me instead of against me? If this resonated with you, drop a comment. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Now go accomplish something. Or don't. Either way, you'll figure it out when the time is right.